Hello, hello, everybody. My name is Miss Gabby, and I'm coming to you live from outside in this beautiful weather. It is extremely bright outside and very warm, but I'm happy to be coming to you today with some leaf rubbing drawings that we're going to be doing. And let me switch the camera here and let me show you what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to be using some different things that we're going to take an adventure and find around in my backyard today. So here's some examples, some really great leaf rubbings, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that today. So when we get started, what's really great, since if you're going to be working outside, we definitely want you to stay hydrated. So I brought some water outside, and definitely be wearing sunscreen. That is very important. Since it's been so beautiful and so warm, we just want you to stay hydrated and stay safe. And so what you're going to need today is we're going to need some leaves, some tree bark or some flowers, definitely also some paper, at least 2 sheets of white paper if you want to use a different kind. Any construction paper also really works great for this project. And if you want like a pencil or marker or some scissors to cut your paper to make some different sizes. So yeah, let's get started. So we're going to take an adventure into my backyard. And this is great because there's so many different kinds of leaves and things around too. And I want to just adventure and look. So I found these leaves here. So these ones were different than these ones just because they are round. So I really thought these are really pretty to find and use. They're pretty in color. So that can be a nice inspiration on which color combination we're going to use rubbings. And then I do have a couple of more awesome flowers over here. So there's so many great things just around, your house, or maybe just on a nature walk or something, or going right to the park that you can be looking for. So I have like these kinds of leaves here too, and these flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and just pick some of these leaves off. Don't want to disturb them too much because there's a lot of pollen and they're in full bloom. But maybe just one of these leaves. Also, these are huge. So it's great to find some different kinds of leaves and different things that are different sizes. So I'm going to take one of these. So that's a pretty decently sized leaf there. So I'm going to go back to my little work area. And if you're able to work in some shade or something like that, that's really great too because it is fairly warm today. So let me get this set up so you can kind of see here. I also picked some tree bark earlier as well. You can see here. So if you're looking for different textures, that's really important too because it's going to add a lot of dimension to our leaf rubbings. So you can kind of see here all of the supplies that I picked up and everything that I decided to use. And it's okay. It depends on if you're going to use it all. That's up to you. And it's great to be playing around with. So I'm going to just put all of these off to the side here. And you see, as usual, I'm always working on top of a surface or something. So if you have, an extra piece of paper or something like that, you can definitely be using that. So that's what I'm going to do here too. So I'm going to lay down my first piece of paper. And this is where you're going to decide, where your leaf placement will be. Or if you're going to start off with one. So I'm going to just start off with one here. And I'm going to place that maybe right here. And since I'm using the same size sheet of paper, I know exactly where my leaf is going to be. So, we want to make sure that it's going to be nice and flat here. And I'm going to go ahead and just place my piece of paper right on top. And you can go ahead and take a feel to the paper. And if you forget maybe where you put your leaf, you can just kind of feel around there. It's nice because you can't see it. And so now we're going to pick a crayon color. So what's important for the usages of our crayon is that you take all your papers off. I already went ahead and did all of that. And I noticed that it is easier to work with smaller pieces of crayon. So, I just went ahead and broke some of mine in half to be able to work with. It's easier. But you do want to take that paper off and, take your time and definitely put it all into the trash when you need to. And some of my leaves are flying away in the wind. And we're gonna go ahead, and I'm going to just go ahead and pick a blue crayon. So like I said, you want to just kind of feel around here where, you know, the leaf that you put down, and we're going to use the flat edge of our crayon. And here, you know, you're going to play with also pressure. So you kind of see here when you're taking your crayon, so you're making the outline of the leaf. And you can press harder to really make those veins in that leaf bold, but there you have that. So I want to make a maybe a different color collage of all of the same leaf. So you see here how great that was, and I did push a little bit harder to make it a little bit bolder in the color. So you see how I'm doing that, just did that. And you know, so I'm just gonna lift it, and I'm gonna just go ahead, and I really still like this leaf and I still want to continue to work with it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just flip it upside down and move it down a little bit. And you know, that's up to you where you want to move it. So I'm just gonna make little collage. I'm gonna just go ahead and start it maybe right back on the other side there. So you see that? And what color do I want to pick next? So I think I want to make maybe a color scheme of cool colors. And if you know what the cool colors are, that's I'm gonna use green and maybe this purple here that I have, and this like darker pink as well. So, and I do have some different shades of blue, which is really cool too, because if you have loads of crayons, you might have some of those too. So this is gonna be like a little bit of a lighter green here. So you see that? So I did put an extra amount of pressure here to really, there you go. And gonna keep moving my leaf around, maybe flip it upright. And it's okay if you're gonna overlap or anything like that, because that's just gonna give an effect to our collage. So you see that here. Gonna really push extra hard here. So you see now that it's starting to come together a bit. So I'm gonna overlap it just a little here. So if you forget exactly where you do put that, you know, you can definitely do that here. Just feel around again. So I'm gonna take this color here, and here we are. Ooh, I'm really liking this color scheme. I think, you know, since I feel like I'm missing a little bit of green up here, so I'm gonna go ahead and just put that there. Up here, overlap that just a little bit more. Let's go right here. There we are. So you kind of see it all starting to come together quite a bit, which is really awesome. Oof. So I think I'm gonna maybe add some blue over on this side next. So I'm playing with the different pressures. You know, and if you want to try and get maybe not extra crayon all over, you can kind of be a little more delicate with that too, but I don't mind that so much. It's very like a stamping effect. So there's that. Oof. That is looking really great. I'm really loving it. Maybe I want to add some different texture. Maybe I'm going to add some bark. So, you know, this one is a little bit bigger. You know, it doesn't like completely flat, but you know, this is all about like texture and overlapping and just collaging. So I'm going to just take it a little bit here and kind of see how that shows up. Add some brown. It's looking a little interesting. I kind of like that. It's just adding a little bit of different texture here. And if you maybe find some flatter piece of bark, that would be really beneficial too. Especially, you know, it's, you know, all about an adventure, and it's all about experimenting here today. Ooh, I kind of like how that texture is really looking there. But it's nice to keep a hold of everything, and working on top of things too here. And I know I lost everybody, and I'm terribly sorry about that. I did have to move inside just because it was so hot. I do really apologize about that. Sorry, I had to reset back up. I'm so sorry about that. So what we're gonna be working on next here is we're gonna take our leaf petal or like flower petal here, and I wanna make, you know, think about making a design with that. So I do have a smaller piece of paper here, and I'm going to take this here and set it up just like this. And you can kind of, like I said, you're gonna just feel around here where that is. And where you're going to be putting the pressure for the crayon. So I'm going to go ahead and start that there. You can kind of see that petal starting to come up here a little. Yep. And so here's where, if you want to make a flower just like I'm doing, just going ahead and kind of seeing and watching where you place your petal, and kind of feeling that there too. I'm going to use red here. You kind of see it coming together. And it's okay if it's not in the perfect placement. That's gonna be all right. And I'm just kind of overlapping them a little bit, and you see I'm just going ahead and rotating my piece of paper. And just going back over the same way. So using a flower petal as your flower petal texture for your drawing is super great. And there's different kinds of leaf, like flower petal leaves are out there, probably around your house, around the park, or in the neighborhood that you can find, you know, just like mine here. And usually once you use it a few times, it just gets flat. But you see how that worked in. So you can take, you know, either like a marker or your crayon to kind of accentuate to the petals. And you can kind of go like that, however you feel like doing. You know, you can even make the inside here, like where the pollen would be or something like that. And then making, if you want, using your leaves as a texture for the stem. I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and or even it as extra leaves. You know, it's all about how you feel, but it's really nice to take your time and like decide on what kind of texture you're gonna really want. So you can see how that's working here. There. And next I'm going to, I'm gonna go ahead and use the big leaf that we found. That was such an exciting one that I wanted to try and work on. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take that here. I kind of got some extra dirt on the leaf, so I'm just gonna rub that off to the garbage there, and I'm gonna place the leaf, and you know, we want it to be as flat as possible as it can be, so it'll fit under, and if it's okay if it's not 100% flat, but we're gonna go ahead and take that. This is a big guy, so maybe we'll need some help from, you know, an adult or something. But here we are, I'm just gonna lay this like nice and flat there. So I'm gonna take purple, I think I feel like doing, for this bigger leaf here. And just taking it, like I said, with your pressure, depending on what pressure and how much pressure you do. But it's like magic. That the leaf just comes right on with your crayon. You can kind of see where I'm struggling a little bit here with it not being extremely flat, and that's all right, because I really like how that is. You can even blend your colors together, you know, using some green and blue and purple here, kind of making that. And you can kind of see, if you remember from if you watched my color wheel tutorial, how those colors can kind of come together too, and how that looks. And you kind of see how that flattened out a little too. But if you want to use, you know, all different kinds of leaf, you can set up as what we call like a different composition. So you see how I'm just going to lay this out here. And some, if you find like, you know, these leaves that have just like a different size leaves, that is really beneficial too, helping in kind of creating your masterpiece of a leaf rubbing. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this one here and this here. Whatever looks good to you, you know, that's how you're the artist and you want to do what you want to do and how you're going to do it. So I'm going to place this here. I'm going to have these as the centerpieces pretty much. I'm going to have those here. Move this way. And I'm going to take a fresh sheet of white paper and I'm going to just lay that right down and make sure I'm going to flatten it. There we go. And I kind of want to maybe make like a, you know, an ombre or a blending of colors from the top to the bottom, or even from the bottom to the top. So maybe I'm going to go starting with my warm colors. So if you think about what your warm colors are, they're going to be red and orange. So I'm kind of, you see how I'm taking the steps to... You see how they're all kind of coming up differently, and that's really cool how that all looks. And I'm kind of going over the red a little bit with my orange to kind of, you know, maybe blend those colors a little and ombre them just a little tiny bit. And then I'm going to take my yellow, just like it's, you know, even for the rainbow, going ahead and overlapping those there too to see how that is going to go kind of farther down. Maybe I missed some spots here with my orange. And just gently and just a little bit of pressure going back over some of them. And it's okay if the leaves do move under. You can kind of see how mine kind of started to just change a little bit going back over them. And that's all right because it looks super cool. Almost gives it kind of like a 3D effect. So yeah, so there you go with your blending, and you can kind of see my leaves are kind of getting stuck to this piece of paper. So you see this here, how cool that looks. So you can see all the different kinds of leaves that I did decide, and if you want to too, you can kind of even go back and further add things to it to accentuate the leaves. So yeah, excuse me. There you have, you know, our leaf rubbings. It's a great way to get outside and kind of adventure around and see what you have to kind of make these leaf rubbings with, like, you know, petals, flower petals, some tree bark, and things like that. There's so many different kinds of leaves. I wish I knew all of them and what all of them are. But that's, you know, the leaf rubbing. And it's a great way to just kind of explore and use, you know, your broken crayons or anything of that sort. So now is going to be cleanup time. So, you know, I always like to carry my little cup here. And I put everything right inside. And I'm going to have that. Here's my other leaf drawing. I'm going to put all of my drawings together. You know, I like to sign my name sometimes to them. And I'm going to put all my leaves onto, you know, one thing too. And just my extra scraps of paper. And I'm going to put everything away, stack it all. And if, you know, there is a bit of a mess, you know, you can just wipe that down. You know, it's always nice to start or finish how you started. That's what I always say. So yeah. There you have it. Here are our leaf rubbings in our nice cleaned up area.